Let's do it.
All right, welcome back, everybody, you extraordinary subscribers to this, the Hemingway Land YouTube channel. This, guys, is not going to be our typical video where we debut new properties this week. Rather, this is going to be a channel update, a business update. It is going to be an announcement, and more specifically, it is going to be a major announcement of something that I have been working on here for some time. Something which hopefully will allow us to buy and list and sell more properties and will allow more of you to be able to fulfill whatever aspirations you have for owning land, developing land, so on and so forth. Now, before I get to that, let me say this, guys. I am going to speak extemporaneously here. This video is not going to have the type of structure that it normally has. This is going to be what we'll call the equivalent of a soft opening of a business, a soft opening of an announcement, rather than a grand opening. A more structured video, a more structured explanation of this will come in the weeks ahead. That being said, for those of you who tune in here on a weekly basis, I wanted to take the time to not only announce this here with you guys, but I wanted to introduce it here, discuss it here, and hopefully answer whatever questions you guys are going to have. Now, realistically, if history is any indication, I will not answer all of your questions. You will have more questions. And I really, really, really encourage you guys, I implore you, please, if you have questions, leave them in the comment section here on YouTube, because this helps me understand what I'm not explaining well enough. It helps me understand what needs to be explained on the website and how best to articulate it when I explain it. So please, 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 leave comments down below, guys. I will respond not only in the comment section, but I will probably take the time to do a follow-up video in the weeks ahead to address those various comments. All right. With all that said, here we go. Okay, so since the inception of the business, nary a day of a week of a month has gone by that we have not gotten a call or an email from someone requesting owner financing. And for those of you who don't know, owner financing is synonymous with seller financing. It's synonymous with what we like to refer to on the website as terms. Put another way, it's a way of selling the property to a buyer who cannot afford to pay the entire cash price all at once, but can't afford to make a considerable down payment and subsequent monthly payments until such time as the balance has been paid in full. And when the business first started, this is something I could not allow at all. I needed everything to be a cash sale. And slowly as time went on, we were able to afford it on properties in the $1,500 to $2,500 range, and then eventually $5,000. And now today we could pretty easily allow it on properties $10,000 and under. In some cases, I could do it with properties at a $15,000 price point, but realistically, it's difficult. Now, just to get into it for a second, why is it difficult? Well, let's pretend for 2 seconds that we're selling a property for $10,000. And with this hypothetical $10,000 property, let's assume that all of our purchasing costs totaled $6,500. If someone can place a down payment of $2,500 or 25% of the purchase price, that's a lot of money. That's really good. Unfortunately for us, however, even if you're paying $250 a month, it's still going to be 16 months before we hit break even on that property. Realistically, with credit card processing fees, it's more like month 17 or month 18. Point being, I can't run a business where every investment is a year and a half or 2 years from profit. And because of this, it's limited our ability to offer as many properties as we would like. If we can't find a reliable stream of cash buyers for anything over $15,000 or $20,000, it doesn't behoove me to list properties above that price point. And so it limits what we can buy, it limits where we can buy, and it limits how much we can offer in a given year. And this is why many of you have heard me talking on the channel in recent years about six-figure properties we have on the East Coast, listed only with realtors, because I know I don't have an audience for it here on the site. Now, to be clear, guys, in a typical year, our numbers aren't anything to sneeze at. We list about 500 properties and we sell about 500 properties. I eat and sleep well, my staff does too. But it has always been my contention that if we can offer owner financing, we would very easily be able to double those numbers and grow the business with even greater speed than we have previously, while being able to reach more people with more properties in more places. And it's taken me a while, but I have finally figured out how to do that. I have finally figured out how to engineer this so it makes financial sense on my end. And thus, from this day forward, Hemingway Land will be offering owner financing on all, I repeat, all of our properties. So properties being sold this way are going to break down into one of two categories, those priced under $10,000 and those priced above it. And to be clear, guys, this is not a hard and fast rule. There will probably be exceptions carved out as time goes on, but for the sake of conversation, let's say 95% of the time it's going to play out like this. So, for properties 10,000 and under, we're going to continue to operate as we've done in the past. You're going to place your down payment by checking out on the website. You're going to have a land contract with our company, enumerating the terms of the deal, as well as demonstrating your equitable interest in the land. And every month, we're going to bill your credit card for the monthly payment. And of course, during the life of the contract, if you ever want to pay more than the monthly amount or pay the remaining balance in full, or if you simply have a question, you email or call our office and we'll help you with whatever the request is. And once you've completed making all the payments, we will deed the property into your name as we have done since the beginning of the business. Now, for properties over $10,000, it's going to work a little differently. So, as an example, let's say we have a property that's got a cash purchase price of $50,000. On a property like this at checkout, you're now going to see an owner financing option enumerating a down payment, monthly payment, term, and interest rate, and the entire transaction will be run through a third-party loan servicing company. So in this example, we've got a property worth $50,000. You can't afford the entire $50,000, but you can place a 20% down payment of $10,000. In addition, the terms outlined here of $500 a month for a 96-month term at a 9.9% interest rate, they all seem agreeable to you. They seem like something you can afford, and thus you decide to move forward not just with the transaction, but with initiating what is at this point a $40,000 loan. So you're going to come here and you're going to check out on the website by placing a $500 non-refundable earnest money deposit. And within 24 hours of that deposit, we're going to get you a contract. You sign it, we sign it, and we are going to run this deal through title escrow and a loan servicing company. This gives you the benefit of getting title insurance as well as having a professional loan servicer handling the contracts, the payments, and the dispersals. And at close of escrow, you will then be asked for the remainder of the down payment, in this case $9,500 or $10,000 minus the $500 you pay through the website. And at this point, the loan will be created for the remaining balance of $40,000 under the previously agreed terms. And depending on the state, because different states work differently, we will either create a mortgage or deed of trust for you with Hemingway Land as lien holder in first position. The lien, of course, being removed once all payment obligations have been made. And for the life of the loan, you will deal exclusively with the loan servicing company. So any questions, any concerns, any additional payments you'd like to make, any status update you'd like to request on the remaining balance of the loan can all be addressed directly to them. Now, there's a lot to unpack here, so I'm going to try to break this down for you guys with what I imagine the common questions will be. Are the terms negotiable? So the terms will be negotiable for anyone who could place more than the minimum 20% down payment. That being said, there's not going to be a lot of flexibility on the interest rate. 20% down and 9.9% interest rate are going to be the standard terms for all of these deals because those are the two terms we need in place to make this work financially for the business. Those are the terms we need in place to make creating one of these loans worth our time. That said, the monthly payment and the term of the loan are where we'll have the most room to negotiate. Why 9.9% isn't that high? Well, let me say this, guys. For a home loan backed by Fannie Mae, yes. For a small business not asking you to verify your income on what's essentially a commercial loan, it seems reasonable to me, and I would say that it's also what we'll call the norm, at least in my research, for loans of this type. Next, will the loan be a fixed interest rate or variable? All loans will be fixed rate. Next, are you going to run a credit check? So, here's the thing, guys. Every month we have about 100 people making monthly payments on properties. Some of these people, I'm quite certain, could not qualify for a loan on chewing gum. That said, they pay reliably, they pay on time, and the overwhelming experience that I have had in the history of this business is that people who can place considerable down payments are responsible enough to make their monthly payments on time. So, much like with the deals that are $10,000 and under, we will not be running a credit check or attempting to qualify you in any way for the loan. That said, the one difference between the smaller dollar transactions and these is that we will be asking for a copy of your credit report. In fact, contractually, you'll be obligated to submit a copy of your credit report for our files. In the same way, we'll ask you to submit your name, your address, your phone, and your email for our files. So, while the loan will not be contingent on your credit report or your credit score, it will be contingent on you submitting a credit report to us before close of escrow. I hope that makes sense. Next, will this loan appear on my credit report? In all likelihood, yes. And quite frankly, guys, if you have poor credit or that's something you worry about, making reliable payments on a loan like this will help to improve that dramatically. So it'll work as a tremendous benefit to you, particularly if you have a hard time getting approved for credit elsewhere. Next, can I develop the property while I'm paying the loan? You can, yes. In fact, one of the reasons we're doing this is to make it more affordable for our buyers to both pay for the land and develop it simultaneously. Additionally, guys, I tend to be of the opinion that if you're paying to have a survey done or a fence installed or a well drilled, it means you're serious about developing the property, and hence you're more likely to pay off the loan. Now, I will tell you that the loan documents you'll be asked to sign at close of escrow will likely include some language about development being acceptable as long as it adheres to state and county zoning regulations, something like that. But overall, yes, you'll be able to develop the land while paying for it. Next, will I need an attorney? Short answer is it wouldn't hurt. Slightly longer answer is I'm not going to tell you not to have one. The longer and more detailed answer goes like this. So the contracts that we have on the website are designed to be simple and easy to understand agreements, which lay out enough of the basics so that the title company can at least start their work. My goal is to continue in that tradition with the agreements you'll be asked to sign to initiate one of these transactions. And even if those contracts end up being a little more complicated or a little more detailed, my guess is the average person will still be able to understand them enough without the need to seek outside counsel. Though again, I'm not going to tell you not to. The more, we'll say, potentially intimidating part of this, however, will come at close of escrow like a month later, when we're officially originating the loan. So, as for instance, on a property in New Mexico, you'd be presented with a mortgage, a promissory note, some truth in lending disclosures, and probably one or two other documents. Now, most people who find themselves in that situation usually have a realtor with them who can help explain anything they don't understand. Obviously, if you're buying from us, you're not working with a realtor. So at that point, you're sort of relying on the people at the loan company to explain what this clause or that paragraph means. Some people are comfortable with that. Some people are not. So depending on which one you are, you may want an attorney or a realtor friend to review the documents with you. Finally, is there anything else I need to know? You know, one of the terms I didn't mention above, just because it's too hard to shoehorn into a quick explanation, is that all of these loans will have a balloon payment associated with them. And if you're unfamiliar with that term, what it means is if the contract is, as in our sample deal, 96 months, by the time you get to month 96, if you've only been paying the minimum of $500 a month, you're still going to have a remaining balance. In this case, a little over $15,000. So whatever that remaining balance is, it would all come due in that 96th month. Now, that sounds daunting, but there's a couple things to keep in mind. First, you can always pay more than the minimum, and in the long run, it'll knock down the final payment considerably. So in the sample deal that I'm discussing, that $15,000 would be worst case scenario. Second, if you do reach month 96 and there's some lump sum you can't afford to pay all at once, you have the benefit of 95 months of reliable payments being made to a professional loan servicing company. Point being, you'll have an excellent track record, and at that point, it should not be difficult to refinance the loan if you need to. And third, as noted earlier, down payment and interest are pretty well locked, but term, monthly payment, and hence balloon are negotiable. So if you want to do this deal at 108 months instead of 96, it can very easily be arranged. Okay, guys, so while this is a change that we're phasing into the business this week, it is ultimately going to take a few additional weeks to update everything on the website accordingly. So, as an example, the Buy Now buttons on each of the listing pages north of 10,000 have been updated to reflect and explain these changes, and the Buying From Us page will have been updated by the time this video debuts. But there are still some parts of the FAQ that need to be tweaked, and of course the financing page needs to be rewritten entirely. Fortunately, guys, in the history of this business, no one has ever actually bothered to read these pages, so if the information is not 100% current, people probably will not notice. In addition, guys, any one of you that's ever bought a property from us knows there are some standard form emails you receive, some supplemental documentation about property taxes, general post-purchase question and answer, new emails, additional documentation pertaining to these types of transactions will need to be created, and I am in the process of doing all that. That being said, guys, the long history of this business, particularly when it comes to customer support, It's a lot of trial and error. It's a lot of, I don't know what you don't know until I hear the question. Or I think something has been explained properly until I hear 10 people confused about the same point. So, I mean, as an example, if you've ever read our title escrow facts page, this is a super detailed page that thoroughly explains this process top to bottom to anyone who bothers to read it. But things like this question here. I live out of state. Do I need to travel to the title company's office to finalize this deal? Questions like this cannot exist without at least 2 years of me getting frustrated with, seriously? They thought they had to fly to Albuquerque to sign a document? They haven't heard of email, DocuSign, FedEx? No? Nothing? Seriously? I need to write that down? Oh my God. Fine. Things like that. Okay? So, I've introduced a lot of heady concepts here today, guys. I have tried to keep it simple for now, but if you have questions, please leave a comment, shoot us an email, give us a call, because a lot of this material I have to write cannot get written or written well until I know what those questions are, until I know where that confusion is. And furthermore, guys, I would say the first 5 or 10 people who enter into these transactions are going to be given a lot of leeway, a lot of consideration, and a lot of hand-holding, because on a very basic level, I've been buying homes, I've been buying land for 10 plus years with cash only. I've never actually done one of these transactions. I understand them, in theory. Practically speaking, though, I can read about it all I want. There are things I will only ever learn from doing. And there are problems or confusion I will only ever know a buyer has once I've been through the process a few times. And, just to be clear, guys, if I sound overly cautious about this or overly precious about the process, it has nothing to do with the loan. I believe in what we're doing. I believe we'll be originating these loans properly with state-specific contracts written by attorneys at the title company. I believe this will protect you and your investment. My only problem is that I have never wanted to sell a property and have somebody come back 6 months later all pissed off because I didn't know that. I never want to get 30 or 45 days into an escrow and have someone say, I didn't know that would be in the contract. If you have read this website, if you have read any of our listing pages, you will know that I place a very high premium on detail and disclosure. And it's a level of detail and disclosure that I will just not have on day one. So, in short, expect fluidity. Expect the information to be good, but it's going to get better and more thorough as time goes on. Okay? Anyway, with all that said, thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks for allowing me to drone on this long. I am very excited to finally be introducing this. It's something I have been working on for a while, and it's something I believe is going to be a great way to help you guys both purchase and develop a property and ultimately help us to sell more land. So please, guys, go check out the website. Terms on all the properties now, including the one we listed in Catron County last week, the Socorros, the Taos properties you guys keep calling and emailing about, so on and so forth. And additionally, a lot of properties that had terms have had their down payments lowered, things in Arizona and Nevada that we're trying to move. So a lot of good deals, guys. Anyway, don't forget to like and subscribe, share this with your friends, help to get the word out, and most importantly, guys, submit your questions. Anyway, thanks again, everybody, and we will see you back here in our next video.